Your mouth doesn't work!
Now, this scene followed Jeliza waking up in the morning and discovering that Jeff might be dead, even though she gives no indication that he's dead. But how she does deal with it is to start killing ants. In the film, she's just pounding them on the floor. Then she moved on to start stomping on them. And I think this is a way of understanding that she's very aware of his possible death. Because she starts telling these stories about these horrible deaths by other people. They're very funny. People dying in horrible situations. And it's almost as if she's talking herself through the business of death.
You know, Jeliza Rose, your stories aren't interesting.
And when Mystique talks to her, she's trying to talk her out of this obsession with death. Let's move on. Let's do something else, is what she's really telling Jeliza Rose.
Can you guess? I don't care. A frozen sausage. Can you believe it?
And I think it's the great quality of Jeliza Rose that she's able to speak to herself using the various dolls' heads. But then what happens here is Mystique actually gets Jeliza Rose to betray the other heads because she doesn't
without the others.
Let Jeliza Rose bring the others. She convinces her, no, just Mystique and Jeliza will go and discover what's going on at the bus, where the fairies are, where the fireflies are. Jeliza Rose's first betrayal, thanks to the devious Mystique.
Closer, Jeliza Rose. Let me go in. The rabbit is there. Closer. Please? I'm falling very slowly, dear. Mystique! The sides of the hole are filled with cupboards and bookshelves.
Now, in the original
Can you hear me?
cut of the film, we had this sequence where we discover how Jeliza Rose makes her little friends.
The beginning.
Leave that junk alone. You never know who's mouthing.
It was lovely because it gave a chance to see Jeliza Rose with her mum, all dolled up, a little doll of her mother's creations. And it was also intriguing that Mystique already was speaking to her, even before she met her.
Mystique.
Come on.
Mom.
What?
Please.
It's also good to see Jennifer in her heyday.
$1.
Her mum, look at that outfit. And what a buck will buy these days is eternal friendship.
And you pick the others.
I think it was clear in the film, though, that Mystique was running the show. But it's nice to see this sequence anyway, just for my own personal viewing at home. I hope you enjoy it as well.
Mystique? Can you hear me?
This scene took place after Jeliza Rose is at the mirror putting on the wig, and the squirrel appeared. Now, we built this squirrel several times. It was a mechanical little device, built a little remote-controlled car, and we rigged up gears that could wiggle the tail and make it work. And it was a nightmare. We shot again and again and again to try to get it working. And actually seeing it now out of the film, it looks pretty good. But as usual, you make compromises and you cut.
Can I help you?
Certainly not.
Interesting thing here, which we had in the film, were these flowers. They ended up
I have nothing more to say to you.
being plastic because the weather was so bad and we couldn't get them. And we did have a scene, which you're not going to see, which had Dell planting these flowers. So it seemed she was planting plastic flowers around the prairie. A strange idea, but a pretty idea.
I fought squirrels, you know. And I ate too.
We shortened this scene. It just seemed long in our first cut, but it has some lovely moments like that she eats and she hunts squirrels. And it is a quiet moment with young Jeliza. You never know when you make these cuts whether the film is better at a nice slow pace or at a little perkier pace.
Not yet.
We went for perkier. This scene took place when Eliza Rose crawls into the trunk with all of her grandmother's clothes. She thinks she's a squirrel and she falls asleep. We see her outside asleep. And then she has this dream. And it's our Bogman, which we've spent a fair amount of effort creating and then puppeting. It was a great shame to cut it out, but it didn't seem necessary, and we found a quicker way of bringing her out of her little dream, which was her head falling over, the doll's head falling over, and suddenly her own eyes are there.
Oh, there's not a thing for you to worry about, my little girl.
This is terrifying, though, to see Jeff become the Bogman before he's actually dead.